Hey, what's up everyone? This is Silver Slayer. Thank you for tuning into this video. So recently the US Mint exposed some information sharing that they completely sold out of coins. They completely sold out of American Eagles. Now this shares a lot of information, right? Because this lets us know the reality of the situation, that we are not above float. We've been talking about a silver shortage, and actually this American Eagle shortage has been going on for several years now. Earlier in 2019, there was a shortage of American Eagles. Now we're seeing it again with something as small as stock market volatility that could bring prices up, rising demand, in return they cannot meet the supply. Now COVID-19 is a little more serious, but we still see the same exact patterns. We sell out of coins. We do not have enough, which means that there has been a massive abandonment of silver production over the last 5 or 6 years. Mexico, Peru, Chile, Australia, some of the biggest producers of silver, of precious metals, have been abandoning silver mines, leaving them in the dust. What does that mean? That means that we are very scarce on silver. A lot of people think that silver is a commodity, that we have tons of it, that it's so easily accessible. That is not the truth whatsoever. That is not the truth whatsoever. We actually have less silver than gold. We've been digging up gold every single year. We look at the miners, the quarter one through quarter four miners statistics. They dig out gold, lead, and zinc like it's nothing, because it makes them money, because they're chasing the dollar, because that is what drives the economy, is the greenback. But they don't think about the consequences this is going to have. Now, why is that? Because silver is so widely used in so many industrial and technological applications that it needs to be dug out of the ground. We need silver. We need it. So when silver's $100, probably due to supply and demand, because the demand cannot meet the supply, this is going to entail who's buying it. Who is still paying $100 for an ounce of silver? Will you? Will you? I know who will. The big corporations, the companies. If you want the latest iPhone, if you want the latest iPhone to come out, you better hope that they're paying $100 for an ounce of silver. Look back, and silver's been $50 twice in the last 30, 40 years. So who was paying $50 for an ounce of silver back then? Tons of people were. Just like Bitcoin. I started buying Bitcoin at $1,800. But most people bought Bitcoin at $18,000. Why is this? It's that herd mentality flooding towards higher prices. When something starts going higher, people in return think it's going to keep going higher and higher. So they jump on board once there's the most attraction to it, the most promotion, when everyone's talking about it, when your friends and family are talking about it, when it's all over YouTube, when it's all over the news. That's when you jump on board after it's already rallied, after it's already peaked. You need to learn how to find it before it rallies, like I did with Bitcoin. I found Bitcoin before everyone was telling me not to buy it, should have been buying it back then. And then I'm telling everyone not to buy it at $18,000, but that's when they do. That's when you should be selling it. It's supposed to be buy low, sell high. So you can see how people will be paying certain prices regardless of what the price is. It's that herd mentality trying to be greedy. So we don't have to beg the difference. We don't have to argue about $100 silver being out of the question. But what is this going to do to the economy? Because supply isn't always easy. Since we have been abandoning silver mines, this year, 2020, is the first year we're actually going to start focusing a little bit on silver production again. But we're already 5-6 years in the hole. So we're actually 12 years in the hole, because we're actually 5 or 6 years in the hole. So to even break even, we have to go 6 years ahead, which would be 2026. We'll finally be breaking even. So we're actually much deeper in a hole than I think people realize. And when I read that article about a year ago mentioning how miners are placing bets, betting that silver or that gold is going to outperform silver, looking at the using the gold to silver ratio, which is actually 103 to 1 right now, which we can talk about in a bit, using that ratio to determine what they dig out of the ground, it made me sick. It made me realize how greedy people really are and how careless they are, because without this, our consequences are so much more serious. They're on the table now, not only for us silver stackers, but as a working economy across the globe. I mean, look at electric vehicles. Going to be silver is the most highly conductive metal for thermal conductivity and electricity. So we're looking at electric vehicles, which are heavily going to need silver. We're going into the new space age with, SpaceX. Silver is used for solar panels, for solar technology, for space equipment. Everything is used for silver. Silver can purify water. Everything is needed for silver. Everything. So with that said, if we are already America being one of the top producers of American Eagles, they're making millions and millions and millions of American Eagles per year. And actually, they only made around 14 million this year, which is a lot lower. So we already know that the shortage has been happening because over the past, in due time, American Eagles usually mint around 40 million per year. If you look at the history, I made a video about this a couple months ago. If you look at the charts, American Eagles are usually minted around 30 to 40 million per year. Pandas around 8 million. Kookaburras around 300 to 500,000. So this year there was only 14 million minted, and last year there was only 15 million minted. So why are they cutting back so drastically? Is it to cut production costs, or do they not have enough silver to fill the need? And then something like this pushed it over the edge. I think we're starting to really see the truth exposed. I think we're really starting to see the truth exposed to what's going on, to what's really going on behind closed doors. Banks, central banks, Federal Reserve, they all had to cushion the economy from COVID-19. And they had to cushion the economy because if not, we would fall into a recession because we're $24 trillion in debt. So if we have something as valuable as silver, why do central banks hold so much gold and silver? Why are they hoarding gold and silver? It's like they know something that they don't want everyone else to know. It's like they're trying to keep something a secret, right? They're trying to keep something a secret to the people because gold and silver is a direct threat against the US dollar. It's a direct threat against the US dollar. Without gold and silver, the dollar would probably flourish, but it's going to collapse. This system always collapses. See, gold and silver isn't a solution, but it is an alternative. It's an alternative that gives you a hedge against inflation. As inflation rates are rising, you can take your gold and silver and store it almost like in a time capsule. So then, in return, in 30, 40, 50 years from now, when you want to take, advantage of your hard-earned money, you can. And not only will the coins appreciate, but spot price might have appreciated in time as well. So you have twice the chance of it. Where if you keep your money in a bank account, in due time, the purchasing power, what you can buy with that money, will have drastically declined. Right now, you might be able to buy something, a Tesla, for $50,000, but in 30, 40 years, you might only be able to buy a Honda Civic with $50,000 because the purchasing power of the dollar is going down. What you can buy, the purchasing power of your money is shrinking beneath our eyes. And there's nothing you can do about it on a fiat currency standpoint, but what you can do about it is invest in the precious metals. Because trust me, that $50,000 in gold and silver, once you go to sell that for spot price plus the coins attached, that $50,000 might turn into $150,000 easily, even more than that. Especially looking at where spot price of silver could be going. So that shows the reality. Central banks are not to be trusted. The Federal Reserve is not to be trusted. They want you to worship money, because if you are enslaved to the dollar, if you're in debt, you are a slave to the US dollar. If you are in debt, they have control over you. It's a power move. They want to be able to control you. So don't let them control you. Don't live paycheck to paycheck. You don't have to live like that. Learning how to budget, learning how to invest will take hold of your financial future, and you will start to learn how to really be financially stable. Whether that's cutting out Starbucks every day, whether that's making coffee at home instead, whether that's not always having to buy the newest shoes, whether that's being able to separate your wants versus needs, whether that's understanding that just because you can buy something doesn't mean you can afford to buy it, whatever the case is. You know, to each his own. It's a very individual investment, but we all do have one end goal, and that's financial freedom. And that's what precious metals can give you. I promise you that fiat currency cannot give you that, though. That's why even some of the richest people in the world are poor, because their money is all stored in fiat currency, which is crashing. They're investing into something that's falling. It's like switching seats on the Titanic. Regardless of where their investment goes, it's all crumbling down. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Where do you think this American Eagle shortage is going? Do you think there's something bigger to this? Do you think the consequences are going to really start to play out? Where do you think this is all going to head at the end of the day? I would love to hear your thoughts, your concerns, your questions, your comments. If you thought this video was informational, educational, or just entertaining, make sure to smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe for me, because I do post daily videos. This was Silver Slayer. I'm out. Peace.